Sandy sat alone in her dimly lit living room, the flickering light of a single candle casting eerie shadows on the walls. She clutched a mug of steaming tea, trying to shake off the unease that had settled over her. The weather had forced everyone indoors, leaving Sandy isolated in her creaky old house at the edge of town. A chill ran down her spine every time the wind howled, and the distant thunder only intensified her anxiety. Despite the storm, there was an inexplicable pull that led her to the window. As she stared into the darkness, raindrops raced down the glass like tears, distorting the world outside. Sandy's solitude was abruptly interrupted by a faint tapping at the door. She hesitated, her pulse quickening. The rhythmic sound persisted, growing louder with each passing second. Clutching the mud tightly, she cautiously approached the door and peered through the peephole. There was no one in sight, only the deserted, rain-soaked street. Rushing it off as a trick of the weather, Sandy returned to her seat, attempting to lose herself in the pages of a forgotten novel. But the tapping persisted, now echoing from different corners of the house. The once comforting ambience of the rain turned into an unsettling background for the unexplained sounds. As Sandy traced the source of the noise, she found herself standing before a long-forgotten guest room. The door stood slightly ajar, inviting her to confront the unknown. Hesitant, yet compelled, she pushed it open. The room was cold, damp, and filled with a musty odor. A faded portrait caught her attention. A family, seemingly happy, with smiling faces frozen in time. But as she stared longer, the smiles seemed to twist into sinister grins. Unnerved, Sandy withdrew from the room, only to be greeted by a soft whisper that seemed to ride the draft of the wind. "Why did you leave us, Sandy?" The words hung in the air, sending shivers down her spine. The storm outside intensified, mirroring the tempest brewing within her. As Sandy wrestled with the ghosts of her past, the tapping resumed, growing more insistent, as if demanding an answer. Sandy recoiled, her heart pounding in her chest. The voice was unmistakably familiar, echoing with a haunting resonance that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the old house. Memories long buried clawed their way to the surface, forcing her to confront the secrets she had tried so desperately to forget. A chill swept through the air as shadows danced, casting grotesque figures on the peeling wallpaper. The tapping intensified, now a relentless drumming that echoed the thudding of Sandy's heart. With trepidation, she followed the ghostly whispers, a house seeming to come alive with the stories it held. The trail led her to the attic, a place untouched for years. The narrow staircase creaked under her weight, each step a reminder of the passage of time. As she ascended, the air grew thick with anticipation, and the atmosphere became suffocating. The storm outside mirrored the tempest within her soul. In the attic, dusty old boxes concealed fragments of her past. Among them, a tattered journal lay open, its pages filled with words penned in a handwriting she recognized all too well. It was her own, chronicling a past that now seemed like a distant nightmare. Memories of a tragedy, a loss that had driven her away from those who once loved her. As Sandy delved deeper, she discovered a series of letters hidden within the pages, each bearing a date and a familiar signature. The letters revealed the pain and longing of those she had left behind, a family shattered by grief and unanswered questions. The tapping, the whispers were their desperate attempts to communicate from beyond the grave. Tears welled in Sandy's eyes as the realization dawned. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil within, and the voices grew louder, accusing her of abandoning the ones who needed her most. She clutched the letters, feeling the weight of her decisions pressing down on her. Driven by a newfound resolve, Sandy descended from the attic, the ghostly echoes now replaced by the deafening roar of the rain. With each step, she felt the house release its grip on her, the shadows retreating to their corners. The tapping ceased, leaving behind an eerie silence. Sandy stood before the family portrait, her reflection juxtaposed against the faces that had haunted her. With a deep breath, she whispered an apology to the lingering spirits, promising to face the truth and make amends. The storm outside began to subside, as if granting her a chance at redemption. As dawn broke, the rain transformed into a gentle drizzle, cleansing the world of the night's torment. Sandy emerged from the old house, carrying the weight of her past, but determined to mend the broken bonds. The whispers had faded, and the once haunting atmosphere dissolved into the freshness of a new day. In the attic, dusty old boxes concealed fragments of her past. Among them, a tattered journal lay open, its pages filled with words penned in a handwriting she recognized all too well. It was her own, chronicling a past that now seemed like a distant nightmare. Memories of a tragedy, a loss that had driven her away from those who once loved her. As Sandy delved deeper, she discovered a series of letters hidden within the pages, each bearing a date and a familiar signature. The letters revealed the pain and longing of those she had left behind, a family shattered by grief and unanswered questions. The tapping, the whispers were their desperate attempts to communicate from beyond the grave. Tears welled in Sandy's eyes as the realization dawned. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil within, and the voices grew louder, accusing her of abandoning the ones who needed her most. She clutched the letters, feeling the weight of her decisions pressing down on her. Driven by a newfound resolve, Sandy descended from the attic, the ghostly echoes now replaced by the deafening roar of the rain. With each step, she felt the house release its grip on her, the shadows retreating to their corners. The tapping ceased, leaving behind an eerie silence. Sandy stood before the family portrait, her reflection juxtaposed against the faces that had haunted her. With a deep breath, she whispered an apology to the lingering spirits, promising to face the truth and make amends. The storm outside began to subside, as if granting her a chance at redemption. As dawn broke, the rain transformed into a gentle drizzle, cleansing the world of the night's torment. Sandy emerged from the old house, carrying the weight of her past, but determined to mend the broken bonds. The whispers had faded, and the once haunting atmosphere dissolved into the freshness of a new day. The town awoke to a world reborn, unaware of the spectral drama that had unfolded in the shadows. Sandy, now ready to confront her past, walked into the misty morning, guided by the gentle patter of raindrops, a cleansing baptism that marked the beginning of her journey towards redemption. The haunting whispers of the rainy night had revealed a path to healing, and as Sandy embraced the unknown, she carried with her the echoes of forgiveness and a chance to rebuild the fragments of a shattered life. The rhythmic pitter-patter of raindrops against the window pane echoed through the desolate streets of Ravenwood. It was a town perpetually cloaked in a shroud of mist, but tonight the fog seemed thicker, more ominous. John, a solitary figure with a haunted past, found himself navigating the narrow alleys on this rainy night. As the clock struck midnight, John quickened his pace, seeking refuge from the relentless downpour. He stumbled upon an old Victorian mansion that stood as a relic from a bygone era. The place seemed oddly inviting, its dark silhouette standing stark against the gloom. Reluctantly, John approached the mansion's imposing entrance. The heavy wooden door creaked open as if beckoning him inside. The air within was heavy with the scent of age, and the dimly lit corridor seemed to stretch endlessly into darkness. Ignoring the ominous feeling in the pit of his stomach, John pressed forward, each step resonating with the hollowness of the mansion. Flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls, playing tricks on his mind. The house groaned as if whispering long-forgotten secrets. John reached a grand staircase leading to the upper floors. A distant sound, like the faint cries of a woman, sent shivers down his spine. He hesitated but pressed on, his curiosity overpowering his fear. Upstairs, he discovered a room bathed in an otherworldly glow. A mirror at its center reflected a ghostly figure, a woman in a tattered gown. Her hollow eyes met John's, and a chilling voice echoed through the room. "Leave before it's too late." Suddenly, the door slammed shut, plunging John into pitch darkness. Panic set in as he fumbled for the handle. The room felt like a tomb. the air thickening with an invisible presence. In the oppressive silence, a whispered chant filled the room, growing louder with each passing second. The ghostly figure reappeared in the mirror, her ethereal form contorted in anguish. John's heart raced as the chant reached a deafening crescendo. The room erupted in a blinding light, and when John opened his eyes, he was alone in the darkened mansion once more. The mysterious room had vanished, leaving him disoriented and unnerved. The rain outside had intensified, echoing the turmoil within him. Terrified but compelled to uncover the truth, John descended the staircase, determined to unravel the mystery of the haunted mansion. The mansion's labyrinthine corridors seemed to shift, making each step a descent into an otherworldly realm. As John explored further, he stumbled upon a forgotten library, its shelves lined with dusty volumes bearing titles obscured by time. Among the aged tomes, John discovered a weathered diary that chronicled the tragic tale of Eleanor, the woman he had glimpsed in the mirror. She was a young bride, abandoned by her husband on their wedding night. Consumed by grief, Eleanor had succumbed to madness, and her anguished spirit remained trapped in the mansion's ethereal embrace. Haunted by Eleanor's story, John felt an inexplicable connection. He was drawn deeper into the mansion's secrets, compelled to bring peace to the tormented soul. The diary hinted at a ritual that could release Eleanor's spirit, but the details were cryptic, obscured by the hand of time. Driven by a mix of fear and empathy, John retraced Eleanor's steps, following the diary's cryptic clues. The rain outside intensified, mirroring the turmoil within the mansion. Each room seemed to hold a piece of the puzzle, and the oppressive atmosphere grew more suffocating. In a hidden chamber, John stumbled upon a relic of the past, an antique music box. As he turned the delicate key, a haunting melody filled the air. The walls seemed to resonate with Eleanor's anguish, and shadows danced in response to the ethereal tune. The room transformed, revealing a spectral ballroom where a phantom orchestra played for an invisible audience. At the center of the dance floor, Eleanor materialized, her ghostly form swaying to the haunting melody. John felt a surge of sorrow and compassion, realizing that he held the key to her salvation. As the music box reached its crescendo, the room quivered with energy. Eleanor's spirit lifted, and a voice whispered gratitude. The mansion trembled, and a blinding light enveloped everything. When John opened his eyes, he found himself standing outside the mansion, the rain now reduced to a gentle drizzle. The fog lifted, revealing a town reborn from its haunted past. The once foreboding mansion stood silent, its secrets laid to rest. John felt a weight lifted from his shoulders, the echo of Eleanor's gratitude lingering in the air. The rain-soaked streets now held a serene calm, and as dawn approached, John walked away from Ravenwood. Forever changed by the night, he ventured into the haunted mansion. It was a chilly autumn night, and the rain poured relentlessly, tapping on the window panes like ghostly whispers. Stan, a solitary man with a penchant for solitude, found himself driving down a desolate stretch of road. The flickering streetlights cast eerie shadows on the wet asphalt as his car trudged through the puddles. Stan's destination was a remote cabin tucked away in the woods, a place he inherited from a distant relative. As he navigated the winding road, the forest seemed to close in around him, the trees shrouded in mist, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. Unease settled in his chest, but he attributed it to the isolation and the haunting symphony of raindrops on the car roof. Upon reaching the cabin, Stan felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. The cabin, though quaint, exuded an aura of abandonment. The air inside was heavy, laden with the weight of years gone by. Determined to shake off his unease, Stan lit a fire and settled in, the crackling flames casting dancing shadows around the room. As the night progressed, the rain intensified, a relentless drumming that echoed through the forest. Stan tried to distract himself with a book, but every creak of the floorboards or rustle of leaves outside made him jump. The rhythmic patter of rain against the windows became a haunting lullaby. making it difficult for him to stay awake. Just as Stan was considering turning in for the night, a sudden knock echoed through the cabin. 3 deliberate taps, each one sending shivers down his spine. He approached the door cautiously, the rain's cadence playing an eerie backdrop to the mystery outside. When he opened the door, there was no one in sight, only the cold, relentless rain. Dismissively, Stan attributed it to his imagination, the isolation playing tricks on his mind. However, as he returned to the warmth of the fire, he couldn't shake the feeling of being washed. The rain, now a steady downpour, seemed to cloak the forest in an impenetrable darkness, and Stan found himself wondering if he was truly alone in that desolate cabin. The following night unfolded with a similar eerie ambience. Stan's unease lingered as he lay in bed, the patter of rain on the roof becoming an ominous soundtrack. Sleep eluded him, and he found himself wandering through the cabin, tracing the faded wallpaper with his fingers. As he moved through the dimly lit rooms, a soft whisper echoed through the air. Stan froze, straining to catch the words. The voice was indistinct, like a murmur carried by the wind. His heart raced as he followed the haunting sound, leading him deeper into the cabin's shadows. The whisper seemed to guide him to a hidden door, concealed behind a dusty curtain. Hesitant but compelled, Stan opened it to reveal a narrow staircase descending into darkness. The voice grew more insistent, coaxing him to explore the hidden depths beneath his seemingly innocuous cabin. The staircase seemed to stretch on forever, the air growing colder with each step. Stan's surroundings transformed into a subterranean labyrinth, damp and foreboding. Strange symbols adorned the walls, and an ancient, unsettling energy permeated the air. As he delved deeper, the whispers intensified, forming into discernible words. They spoke of secrets buried in the roots of the forest, of a past veiled in tragedy. Stan felt a growing connection to the unseen presence, a force compelling him to unravel the mysteries concealed within the bowels of the earth. The labyrinth led him to a cavernous chamber, adorned with cryptic symbols and flickering candlelight. In the center stood a weathered book, pages yellowed with age. The whispers crescendoed, urging Stan to read the ancient text. As he deciphered the words, a chilling realization gripped him. The cabin, the forest, and the very ground beneath held a dark history. The rain, a harbinger of restless spirits, whispered tales of betrayal, sorrow, and unfulfilled promises. Stan was now entwined in a narrative woven by the rain-soaked earth, and the lines between reality and the supernatural blurred. The restless spirits sought solace through him, their stories demanding acknowledgement and redemption. Would Stan succumb to the haunted legacy of the cabin, or would he unravel the enigma and free the spirits trapped in the rainy night's embrace? The shadows deepened, and the rain persisted, leaving the answers shrouded in mystery. The ancient book in Stan's hands revealed tales of a tragic love story that unfolded within the very walls of the cabin. As he delved deeper into the narrative, he discovered the existence of 2 souls, lovers torn apart by treachery and lost promises. The rain, a constant companion, had become a conduit for their whispers, seeking an empathetic ear to hear their sorrowful saga. Stan felt an undeniable connection with these lost souls, his empathy urging him to reconcile the unresolved grief that lingered within the cabin's hidden chambers. The voices guided him towards a hidden compartment, revealing artifacts that echoed the past, a locket, weathered letters, and a faded photograph. Driven by a newfound purpose, Stan sought to reunite the fragmented pieces of the tragic puzzle. Each artifact unearthed added layers to the haunting narrative, and the whispers, now more distinct, echoed gratitude. It became clear that Stan was the chosen vessel, destined to bring closure to the restless spirits that wandered the cabin's shadows. As he worked tirelessly to piece together the lover's story, Stan's surroundings began to transform. The damp, cold labyrinth now exuded warmth, and the cryptic symbols on the walls seemed to glow with a gentle radiance. The rain outside, once ominous, now felt like a comforting embrace, a connection to the spirits yearning for peace. However, the more Stan unearthed, the more the cabin resisted. It seemed as though the very fabric of the place resisted the truth being revealed. Strange occurrences heightened, a flickering candle, a sudden gust of wind, and fleeting shadows that danced on the periphery of his vision. Undeterred, Stan pressed on, determined to break the shackles of the past. The whispers intensified, guiding him to a secluded spot in the heart of the forest, a forgotten grave where the lovers lay side by side. The spirits, now liberated from the confines of the cabin, manifested in the rain-kissed night, expressing gratitude with a gentle breeze that rustled the leaves. As the first light of dawn broke, the rain began to subside, and the forest emerged from the shroud of mist. The ancient book, its pages now empty, disintegrated into dust. Stan stood amidst the fading whispers, a sense of closure washing over him. The cabin, once a vessel of sorrow, now exuded a serene tranquility. The spirits, having found peace, dissolved into the morning mist, leaving Stan alone in the awakening forest. The once intense rain had dwindled to a soft drizzle, cleansing the earth and leaving behind a sense of renewal. Stan, forever changed by the haunting ordeal, walked away from the cabin with a profound understanding. The past, though buried, could never be ignored. As he ventured into the receding rain, he carried with him the echoes of a love story that had transcended time, forever etched in the tapestry of the rainy night.